Welcome to Pretty Lies and Alibis. Join us as we seek the truth and travel the long road to justice. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Pretty Lies and Alibis. I'm Gigi Fruit Loop. What you know?
Did you know that? And I had it and I just lost it. Don't say anything. And I may have done this before, but it's still, I don't do this, but you do. You do this. Americans spend an average of $1,092 on coffee per year. This is like $92 a month, which is about $3 worth of coffee a day.
Oh, I do more than that because
you're probably double and triple.
Yeah, you know how much I drink coffee. Literally 5 minutes after I wake up, and I don't stop till probably 8 at night.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a really, thank God it's not alcohol. Or something. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just saying.
We have a local place here, and I tried some of that, and I actually liked it, but it's
Did you
not
really?
enough for me to, yeah.
See, I got
It's
my
called a
Stay Wild
campfire.
Moonchild.
Yeah, it's called some kind of campfire or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's good. So real quick, we want to give a big thank you to one of our sponsors, Too Cool T-Shirt Quilts. You can go to toocooltshirtquilts.com/prettyliesandalibis. Check them out. Also, big thank you to Gemma and Gina for the PayPal donations. And I have to give a huge thank you to Audrey on YouTube for the nosebleed tip. We had another one last night, big one, about 11 o'clock. We were up till 4 because she just felt queasy afterwards for so long. But instead of, so part of the like double-edged sword is we have to do like half a bottle of Afrin because she's bleeding so much. We went to the doctor today. Her hemoglobin's good, but it makes her sick because it's going down her throat.
Yeah.
So anyways, Audrey suggested doing a cotton ball soaked in the Afrin, stick it up the nose, worked like a charm. So thank you, Audrey. I owe you one big time.
Go, Audrey.
Yeah.
So did you stay at a Holiday Inn? You stayed at a Holiday Inn last night, didn't you, Audrey? No,
I'm not a doctor, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn last night.
Stay at a Holiday Inn.
So we had a question on YouTube from Marion Rosanna. And she asked if prior to Lori and Chad's case, did we have incredibly long talks about other crime cases? And then what was the catalyst to jumping into podcasting?
This case was a catalyst to jumping into podcasting?
100%. But what's weird is this. Philip and I never talked about true crime really before the podcast unless we were watching Forensic Files or what was that other show? The First 48.
First 48, yeah.
Yeah. So like we would sit here and binge those shows for hours and, watch a couple of little YouTube documentaries, but no, we did not until the podcast. It's really kind of crazy if you think about it now, 300 and something episodes later.
Yeah.
The catalyst to jumping into podcasting, we were bored during COVID and I started reading this case, got very interested, realized really early on it's going to be a whopper of a case. And so Fruit Loop, it was quarantine. At that point, you live 5 minutes from me. You were always here because we were all quarantining. And so we just started researching Lori and Chad and everybody's name that we found associated with this way back in December of 2019.
Yeah.
Way before the internet got really clogged with news stories, we found like old social media accounts of Alex, weird websites. Remember, like we found them on some fetish sites or something.
Oh, yeah.
Just really weird stuff. And then the day they found the kids' bodies, we've told this story a few times. The day they found the kids' bodies, I called her. I said, get over here. Let's do it. We ain't looked back. So that's it.
Yep.
So Fruit Loop, did you hear about this deputy locally that was shot and killed in the line of duty on the 21st?
I did.
Oh,
Austin Aldridge.
Yes. I've tweeted about it, put it on Facebook, but he was murdered June 21st responding to a domestic disturbance. He was only 25, had been on the force only for 3 years. Get this past Sunday, him and his wife just found out they were expecting their first child. A couple days later, he's killed in the line of duty, but in the ultimate final act of kindness and sense of community, he was an organ and tissue donor. And they say that 70 people will benefit from his donation. And they had a police escort from here in Greenville down to Columbia where they do the removal. And they just escorted him back today. So I just want to take a moment and just acknowledge this young man, 25, just found out less than a week ago he's going to be a daddy for the first time. and
I'm
just
gonna
a sad, sad thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, if you ask, and I have police officer friends, if you ask them, they'll say that's the most difficult thing to do, and they dread the most is DV calls because
Yeah.
they're so unpredictable.
Yeah, so we're just thinking about his family, his wife, and man, that little baby that's just never gonna get to meet their daddy. So, Fruit Loop, I think that people have been really receptive to this series
Yeah,
so far. We haven't
yeah,
screwed it up too bad.
no.
So we stopped at where did we stop yesterday? Oh, we were talking about Alex. He had just got released from jail. 2011, he was ordered by the court to pay $5,000 in restitution to Joe Ryan for the tasing incident. So we're going to jump and we're going to finish the custody stuff tonight. And we're going to jump a little bit to 2008, but Tylee's still 5.5 at this point. So June 30th, 2008, Tylee tells the counselor she doesn't want overnights with Joe because he molested her in Colby. So they're just still in court battling. I mean, this really goes on until Joe dies. But get this, in an email, Joe tells Lori, he said that he has Tylee covered on his insurance and he provides those policy numbers. He mentions that he had had a great visit with her, so he must have just seen her. And it's just all normal stuff. And at that point, it seems like Tylee is happy. And he had photos and videos that he must have sent to Lori of them. And get this, he tells Lori, she's a beautiful little girl. And I just want you to know that I will always love you as her mother.
I'm gonna tell you, I went and looked today, and there's some photos, and I think Joe's sister Annie had. Uh, it was an article, and she had released these photos, but it's Tylee and her dad, and it looks to me like it's in Times Square.
Yeah, she had on a Mary Poppins shirt. So I kind of
Yeah,
theorized maybe he took her to see Mary Poppins on Broadway.
yeah, and she truly looked happy, and so did he.
Oh yeah, I've seen another picture where they're in the snow and it's like Tylee's busting a snowball over his head and like she's laughing.
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
one that Annie posted too. There was a picture of Joe driving a convertible, and in the back seat was Tylee and I believe Annie's kids. And like you see every picture with Joe, Tylee is smiling and happy, but we know
yeah.
that there's a lot of turmoil.
It's
And
it's sad that Lori robbed Tylee of that relationship with her dad
yeah,
and robbed her of her life. I mean, come on.
alienation of affection to me is one of the worst forms of mental abuse that a parent can do to a child in a separation or divorce because children just should never have to choose between two people that they did not pick to create them. And it
Yeah,
messes these kids up in big ways later down the road. And I
yeah,
think what people don't understand is that kids are kids only for a little bit of time. They grow up, they learn true facts about what really happened. And, I know people that have been victims of alienation of affection. And then when they get older, they realize, like, mom had me for like 12 years under her spell, but now I don't like you. It's a
yeah,
big risk.
yeah.
So, what happened on July 1st? There's a little bit of a report that's put out.
So there was a concern about Lori misrepresenting information, and that was primarily about Tylee's medical intake form. Um, and we've talked about it before, just making symptoms seem worse than they were. And what's that called? That word is so
Munchausen syndrome, it's
yeah,
where the parent will say that like their kid has uh, these big symptoms and then they never can find anything wrong because the thing is, I remember seeing pictures of Tylee in the hospital as a little, maybe 5 or 6 around this
yeah,
age, but also as a teenager.
yeah,
Seems like this, and we've never seen her medical reports. Obviously, I wonder honestly how much of that was stress induced.
yeah.
Because
And I mean, she had been diagnosed with what, pancreatitis twice.
right. But that's kind of really rare for a kid to get. It's just like sometimes, you wonder, do they just kind of throw a diagnosis, even though they don't have like the medical evidence to back it up, but the reported symptoms are that. You know what I'm saying? You just
Yeah,
never know with Lori.
yeah. So in one report, they mentioned that Tylee's become accustomed to the stress and also police presence in the case. Um, and look, okay, people think I check my cell phone. I'm not looking at my cell phone. I saw somebody ask that one time, and I'm like, no, I'm looking at my CGM. It's telling me what my sugar is. So
Oh,
if you
yeah.
hear the, bzz, bzz, it's not my phone. It's my Mita. It's my Mita. But we talked about that her calmness. If you look at the video, when Charles passed away or was murdered, sorry, she's calm.
Mm-hmm. And even in that police interview room, I went back and watched that just the other day, and and Tom Ware said that it was the same kind of deal in Arizona with Charles's murder as it was with Alex. And you think about it, I mean, we know that Tylee immediately was taken away from there with her mom. They go to Burger King, they go to Walgreens, they take JJ to school. It's coaching. To me, I just imagine in that car, her mom saying, "This is what happened. This is what happened." We did a
Yeah,
prior episode that was called Lie After Lie, the day Charles died. And we're going to kind of revisit that episode later on when we get to that point. But there are discrepancies, and they're very simple, very simple details that nobody should mess up. And again, I just feel like Tylee, but if you look, her cheeks are so red. It's
yeah,
stress.
yeah.
She may be calm on the outside, but on the inside, you see it.
Exactly. So we're gonna take this time right now to go over one of our sponsors.
Oh, yep. So our next partner has a product I literally, y'all have used every day. I started taking AG1 because I don't eat well. Fruit Loop knows this. I don't eat often, and that's due to chronic nausea. But I've been taking it for 3 weeks now. We got it, and I really like it. It doesn't taste like super healthy. It to me, it's kind of more of a tropical taste, and I've
Yeah, it's
gotten to where I kind of
fruity.
look forward to it each morning.
Yeah, it's fruity.
Yeah.
So what's in this stuff is with one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging.
Yeah, and my Uncle Steve, I've got him hooked on it because I gave him a few of those little travel packs, and he
Yeah,
just ordered, last night using our code, but if you wanna look at what it costs less than $3 a day. You can't go through McDonald's for that, and
yeah.
not only are you investing in your health, it's cheaper than whatever cold brew habit you got going on right
Which
now.
we just shared earlier is costing you a lot of money.
Right? Yeah, a lot, but, if you think you go to a health food store and get all these supplements, it's way cheaper than buying all these different pills, and you're just really investing in an all-in-one nutritional insurance.
Yeah. So Athletic Greens is a climate neutral certified company. In 2020, AG purchased carbon credits that support projects protecting old growth rainforest. For every purchase, we donate to organizations helping to get nutritious food to kids in need, including No Kid Hungry here in the US, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool.
In 2020, AG donated over 1.2 million meals to kids in 2020. So you're giving back.
Right. So it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements just to look out for your health. So to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you one free year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 of those free travel packs I just talked about with your first purchase. So all you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/whattheworld. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/whattheworld to take ownership over your health and to pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. So,
What the world, guys, do it.
yes, we actually had some people in YouTube ask for the link, and it's in the description of these episodes.
Yep.
So, July 3rd, 2008, Tylee meets with Dr. Wilcox, and they are still talking about the sexual abuse allegations. And Tylee said it happened when she was 4. So Dr. Wilcox asked if she saw her dad when she was 4. Remember, there was a year where Joe didn't get to see her. And Tylee said, no, it wasn't last year. It was 4 years ago. That would have been when she was 1. Then Tylee says she doesn't want overnights with Joe because she doesn't want to be away from her mommy. So, gosh, July 7th, 2008, prior to a session with a professional, Lori told the professional that Tylee reported seeing needles in Joe's bathroom. So during the session, Tylee also said she saw needles in Joe's bathroom. It's insane. I mean, it's like, okay, so the molestation didn't fly. Let's accuse him of being a needle user. It's so July 11th, Tylee says she doesn't want to talk about Joe or being molested. And when asked about that, Tylee gets tearful and says maybe it wasn't true.
So July 12th, the supervisor says Tylee was taking photos of Joe's bathroom with a cell phone camera. When asked why she was doing that, Tylee said her mommy told her to take pictures of Joe's bathroom.
Jesus.
So on July 14th, 2008, Tylee's guardian at Lytton, Mary Fogel, files a report on Tylee's progress. One guardian at Lytton documents talks about Tylee's health has improved and she seems to be doing well. The therapist expresses concerns about the trauma Tylee suffered in her hospitalizations and the custody battle. But the guardian says she is happy with her visits with dad, but at other times she would say she's scared for overnights because Joe molested her and Colby. And so it's kind of back and forth. At one point, the counselor notes when Lori came in towards the end of the session, Tylee looks at Lori and says, I told her. Tylee says she has fun on visits with her dad. So the summer of 2008, the Guardian recommends the court to relieve the guardian ad litem and appoint a skilled family law attorney experienced in representing children for Tylee. And this is a big deal because at this point, the guardian is so concerned for the child and sees that it isn't going to get better. So guardians can't file motions or subpoena witnesses, question witnesses, or fully advocate the best interest of the child. The guardian says Tylee's emotional well-being has not been fully examined or explained to the court. And you just look at it, how sad is it that the guardian sees that nobody is looking after Tylee's emotional health. So the best option is to put an attorney on to focus her legal rights.
And that's a really last resort move when they just say, like, there's nothing we can do at this point. We just have to make sure legally she's covered. And that's just insane. So, anyways, we moved to September 2008. There's a motion to modify Lori being the sole conservator. And he's asking for the primary residence of Tylee to be changed. And this is around the time that Lori, Charles, and Tylee moved to Arizona. Joe says she hasn't complied with the court orders in a reasonable fashion. She's not scheduling meetings with treatment teams. She hasn't made payments in a timely manner to the team members and the doctor, which caused a 2 to 3 month delay of the team members to start work after the court order. And I think here's the whole point. At that point, Lori had sole custody. She was really happy with what she had. There was no incentive for her to, rush anything. And on top of that, the courts are not holding her accountable for anything. My
Yeah.
big question. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say she's been doing what she wanted to do the whole time.
Here's my question. You're looking at the first allegations were made 2 years ago at this point. You've had therapist after therapist say the kid was coached. We find no evidence whatsoever. Why did the court or somebody not just go to that judge? And we know that it was a couple of times that she was supposed to have psychological testing.
Yep.
Why was there not this huge push to have Lori go through this rigorous testing that Joe had to do for the molestation, but more about her vindictiveness as a parent? Because I think at this point, it was apparent to anybody who had touched this case with a 10-foot pole.
Well, we hear on multiple occasions her make the comment about she'd rather die than Tylee to go see Joe. And she makes that other comment to Annie about I think it was I'd rather put my kids in a car and go over a cliff.
Yeah, that was
and that was
when
talking about in the time stuff, I think, or whatever. But
that was the last visit actually that Annie had with Tylee
Yeah.
after Joe died. She went
Yeah.
down to see her, and we'll get to that later because I think at that point, Annie had Lori pegged way back then too, 2018, the year before.
Yeah, she texted her daughter and
Annie
said,
totally nailed Lori.
Yeah, and she texted her daughter and said, Lori's off her rocker. So
Yeah. So the treatment team said that Lori is just inaccessible and they request she return to Austin from Arizona. where she says she has moved. And, you think back, I don't think she was allowed to move more than 100 miles. We
Yeah.
did read that she would fly Tylee from Arizona to Austin to accommodate visitation. But I mean, that's a disruption to Tylee every weekend taking a flight from Arizona to Texas.
And it's costly.
It's costly, but here's the thing though. I know a friend that moved out of state and the judge said as long as that kid is there for every scheduled visitation, you can move to Europe for all I care.
Yeah, but you think
So
about it, it was in the court order.
right. But it was. They
Yeah,
never
that's
had
what I
it
mean.
changed.
Like, it was in a court order. It didn't say you can move wherever. You know what I mean? Like, it was a court order, and still she didn't.
And the judge didn't say that to Lori. I was just giving an example.
Yeah,
But
yeah, but
again, it's
yeah,
just, example after example. She's taking advantage of the system and she's getting away with it.
yeah. But here again, we see Joe could have threw in the towel
Mm-hmm.
and said, "Okay, I'm just not going to win." But what did he do? He picked up and moved so he'd be closer to her.
Yeah, and I never really could find a timeline when he moved, so I'm not sure what year that happened. But Lori would lie about Tylee's medical conditions to skip visits, and she also failed to notify Joe in a timely fashion about medical issues and hospitalizations. So, you kind of think about what Tylee went through all this. She's got the custody battle. She's being coached by her mom, going to the hospital. They can't find anything major wrong with her. She's getting poked and prodded. It's just she lived in constant chaos. And then you think up until the point to where Charles was murdered, then it really went off the rails. I think maybe Tylee had a few normal years in Hawaii and Arizona before all the Chad stuff, but it was such a real small portion of her life
Yeah,
where she had normalcy, if
and
it was even that.
yeah, and here's another thing I've thought about. What if Lori only paid attention to her when she was sick?
Yeah.
I mean, I see that, I see that some with kids. They don't, their parents only pay attention to them when they're sick, so they're gonna. And I'm not saying Tylee did this, but because we don't know, we're just speculating. But I mean, it's possible that her mom paid attention to her then.
There's no telling. There was
Yeah.
just nothing normal that I can see about their mother-daughter relationship
No.
ever.
Uh-uh.
So, go
September
ahead.
22nd, 2008, a report to the court was filed discussing alternate placements for Tylee. Maybe place Tylee in a home with a familiar person, and Miss Caswell was named. Pick up there.
Yeah, so she was somebody that stayed overnights when Joe had Tylee and it had to be supervised. And this would give things time to resolve without Tylee constantly in the middle. The other option that was discussed was temporary foster care. They talked to Joe and Miss Caswell about Tylee possibly staying with her, but there were some issues as to why her home wouldn't work. And she said there was a personal safety issue in this case. And also, she had problems conveying behavioral suggestions to Joe in the past, and I kind of speculate maybe some issues when she stayed there overnight. We said on the last episode that Annie totally acknowledged that Joe had a temper problem. She saw him being rough with Colby and things like that. But if you remember, Tom Ware said it wasn't anything that really crossed a line. But it was noticeable. So ultimately, they consulted with the director of Lutheran Social Services for foster placement. They worked with some coordinators in the Austin area. As far as I could see, obviously nothing ever came from that. I don't think she was ever put in any kind of temporary home.
No. And on July 17th, 2009, Joe files a custody suit against Lori in Texas. It goes to Arizona courts, and that same year, Lori is found in contempt for judicial interference for disobeying a child custody agreement. And that same year, she is found guilty of 7 different civil contempt charges. And this was revealed when in her initial appearance
In I
Hawaii.
believe it was Hawaii. Yeah, because they were
Yeah,
saying she's not a flight risk. She hasn't fled the island. She knew they're watching her, and the guy's like, yeah, no, she has a big history."
yeah.
But
But as usual, she escaped penalty for any of that.
she should have been in jail.
Yeah.
So, August the 5th of 2011, Joe files a petition to modify child custody, parenting time, and child support. This was in Maricopa County, Arizona. Joe said Lori just wouldn't let him see Tylee despite their custody agreement. So, August the 13th of 2011, a process server serves Lori with the August 5th petition. The document ordered Lori to undergo a psychological evaluation after she told social workers that death would be an option before giving Tylee to her father, Mr. Joseph Ryan, even for a visit. The document says these are real and serious concerns. Now, here's what's interesting, and I kind of pulled this together. She had just had another psychiatric evaluation on August 1st, which was related to Charles's custody case with his ex-wife. And so now it's like they want a second psychiatric evaluation. You think about it. In 2011, she had one in Community Bridges. She was in and out in a few hours. She knew how to work these people.
Yep.
It's crazy. So in 2011, a civil court again finds Lori in contempt of court and charges her with judicial interference for disobeying a child custody agreement with Joe Ryan. Joe files more petitions in 2012 and 2014. It looks like he was finally successful in 2014 because there was a stipulation to credit or offset the petitioner father's child support obligations for 7 months, commencing June 1st, 2014. And we also know at one point Joe was given primary custody for Tylee to stay with him in Arizona for the school year. And this was after Lori and Charles moved to Hawaii. We don't know if she ever did. So this goes on really, like we said, until Joe dies. The last filing in Travis County for the custody battle was October 17th of 2017. And that was actually a notice of what they call DWOP, which means dismissed for want of prosecution. It means your case is dismissed by the judge because nothing has happened in your case for a while. You've missed a hearing or whatever. The last filing I can find in Maricopa County was 2014. But Justin Lum spoke to Joe's old attorney, Keith Taniguchi. And what did he say?
He said that Joe stayed with him for several months in Austin trying to get on his feet. He also lived with Keith's brother for a while, and he eventually moved to Arizona to be close to Tylee. It looks like he had some drinking issues towards the end. He had like 3 DWIs in Arizona and was considered unemployable. Joe's attorney thought he was going to New York, but found out he went back to Arizona, and that's where he died.
Yeah.
I mean, the sad thing is he still had visitation rights, but I mean, we don't think he was seeing her.
Yeah, I don't know that I ever really saw any pictures when she was, close to the time when he would have died. Yeah. He said that, at that point, Tylee's living in Hawaii, and she's kind of back and forth. But he thinks Joe obviously was depressed. I mean, who wouldn't be after all that? He also believes the stun gun attack affected his heart, and maybe that contributed to his death. He said he would be interested to see if Joe and Lori were emailing or texting before his death because, according to Lori, they hadn't spoken in 2 years. Joe's former lawyer said that Tylee meant everything to him because we know that Joe grew up, without a family, and he was kind of in and out of foster care, and she was all he had other than, his siblings, which they all had their own lives. They lived in different states. So he said when he heard the news about the kids and Lori, he just wasn't surprised. He said Lori was the crime boss. She doesn't get her hands dirty, but she orders everything. And I've always wondered this. Okay, so I always think that Lori's responsible for Joe. But if she didn't have a physical hand in his death, she wished death on him. We get to a point to where she is caught on audio saying that she was going to kill Joe and all this stuff. I wonder if it validated any kind of power in her mind that I wished him dead and then he was found dead.
Well, they conjuring up all them earthquakes and stuff.
Yeah. So that kind of finishes up. We could have spent another 2 weeks on the 1,700 plus pages about this, but we wanted to give you just, kind of an in-depth look, but also to tell Joe and Tylee's story because ultimately the courts failed them. And I tweeted out yesterday a side-by-side comparison of Joe's passport picture that was taken in, I believe, like 2007, then his driver's license picture, which was taken 10 years later. It looks like 2 different men. He's just defeated. He kind of looks out of shape. There's no expression. There's no joy on his face. In fact, that driver's license would still be valid, I think, till next year. Just a really sad thing. So we're going to stop here tonight and just let this be the end of the custody battle. We felt like Joe and Tylee needed their own little section of this whole timeline because it fits and I think it shows so much early on that explains a lot of what we know that happened after 2018. And we're going to get to all that. We're the next episode, we're going to get into a little bit of a timeline, but also we're going to dive into Chad's blog because I found it on the Wayback Machine. And it's going to be a couple of episodes of his writings, but I think it really gives a lot of insight into what Chad thought powers he had. And I think it comes across as just arrogant and all knowing and all that. So we've got so much more to go, guys. But in the meantime, buckle up, Buttercup. We just getting started. All right, you guys have a really good night, and we will see you tomorrow.